Hello, welcome back to the Fashion Nap. If you grew up chronically online like myself, then you will know the name Nygel Sartorial very well. Nygel has been archiving black fashion moments since he was 14 years old. A true resource. Outside of running these incredible accounts, Nygel works as a creative director and stylist. Let's go and talk to Nygel.
I am sitting here with fashion internet royalty, creative director, stylist, and archivist, Nygel Sartorial. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. Where did this all-consuming love affair with fashion come from?
I can't pinpoint it exactly, but I'm sure I can credit it to like my mother growing up, like watching her get dressed and put herself together and the pride that she has and um just how she presents herself and like my Caribbean background. Also, like Rihanna said during her CDFA acceptance speech, like fashion was like her defense mechanism. It became that for me at one point. So I guess I can say that as well.
Okay, where in the Caribbean are you from?
My parents are Panamanian. It's not the Caribbean, but it's like Afro Panamanian is like Caribbean vibes.
Okay, cool. My family's from Nevis, so I thought, let me just check. I know the speech you're talking about. Is that the one where she was like, you can beat me, but you can't beat my outfit?
Yes, exactly.
Famous speech. Okay, one thing that I really loved about your story when I was doing my research was that you had said that you've been archiving way before you actually shared it anywhere. So you had all these files digitized because you thought you might need them. Because you elaborate a bit on that.
I've always been into like curation and aesthetic. So like on my personal Instagram, I was like, oh, I think this picture is dope. Like I may use it one day in one of my photo sets or what, but like the day would never come. So I was like, I was originally on Polyvore and then Polyvore shut down. So I was like, I had been wanting to do this page for a while. Like it wasn't something I took seriously. Let me seriously do this and see what happens.
So Polyvore is like a blast from the past. People that don't know, because there are a lot of the kids watching that have no idea about these websites.
I
That's
know.
where you like put the sort of outfit things together, right? And like put photos.
Yes.
Yes. And you were also on Tumblr too, I believe.
I was on Tumblr.
I think
Yes.
that might be where I found you. It's been a long
Oh my
time.
God.
And
Wow.
then you like blew up on Twitter. That was like
Yes.
the one for you. Was it always magazines that you were collecting? Like you were scanning your own, or you were just finding them on Google?
I was finding them on Google originally, and then my Twitter started gaining traction. So I was like, how can I separate myself or just like create a unique experience for people that look at my content? And I figured, like, why not just start scanning my own stuff?
Yeah, that's sorry. I'm asking you all these questions that were not in my notes now because you have a lot of stuff that's like previously unseen, or not unseen ever, but you were the first person to put this photo shoot on the internet. So when you were saying that you were sort of finding stuff on Google, I was thinking, how hard were you digging? But was it more like when you start to do your own scans that you got these exclusive images?
I started to do my own scans and I would get the exclusive images, but I also have stuff like saved on my computer from like 10 plus years ago. So,
How old were you when you started doing this, like posting?
14, 15.
See, I love this. There are so many kids that just love fashion. And like when you look back, it's like we were so young being worried about this. Like, why are we
Yeah.
playing outside? I relate. Your digital archive seems to be focused primarily on like 2000s, 2010s, some 90s too. Are there any eras in fashion outside of this realm that people will be surprised about that pique your interest offline?
Definitely like the 80s and the 70s for me.
Mhm.
Like Cher, Diana Ross, Bob Mackie, like that entire, like the glam, the ambiance, and the budgets were just on a different level. And you can tell that there was like quality and true passion going into like the curation and the development of the artist and the superstar of that time.
So you've always been interested in looking at that journey of like seeing somebody, an artist, a model, whoever, come up and how their image changes and grows and what makes them a star.
Definitely. I think there's a beauty in it. Like I think like a great example for me would be like Nicki Minaj. In terms of like artistic development and someone coming in and being passionate from day one and seeing how hungry she was, and she came in and she conquered, she delivered, she was passionate, just knowing how to conduct herself and being like an all-around star. Like that I love to see. Today, I don't feel as if there's that much artist development going on. And I feel like you need to like take time to curate this image that you're trying to convey. And it takes time. And I think things are very microwave nowadays. So
Do you think that's because of like social media? People just expect you to pop and post and be like perfect straight away. Whereas before,
yes,
it was sort of like a lot of behind the scenes stuff happening, and there was a lot of like behind closed doors time to refine. Someone I think is doing that now quite well, and it reminds me of that day is Tyler. Like I feel like that's kind
yes,
of why everyone's so drawn to her because it reminds us of that. They call her like baby Rihanna, right?
exactly.
Oh, somebody else actually that came into my head when you were talking about artist development, and it's not on purpose because you worked with them. It's actually JT. I feel like her image is really strong now.
Exactly.
In her
I love
own.
her.
But that's a good segue. Can we talk about you worked together? So you're both from Miami, right? Like that must have been
We're
exciting.
both from Miami. I love her. Like again, speaking like in correlation with Nikki, like she's also someone else who is genuinely passionate about what she does. And I find that I like personally identify with these type of people the best. And she's just like on her solo journey now. She's killing it. And God willing, there will be more coming soon. But yeah, I love her. She's the best.
So you worked together. You were sourcing for her, right? Can we talk a little
I
bit?
sourced a pair of boots for her, and we have like a personal relationship. Like we talk.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah.
And remind me what look the boots were in tribute to. I had it in my notes, but you can tell it better than I can.
The sideways cover was referencing an outfit that Jackie O wore in, I believe, 2004. And she had like, she was technically topless, but she had like airbrush paint on her chest with a pair of jeans and then these Cassidy boots. So I helped her find the boots because it was like really a time crunch, and she tapped me and I was able to find them. I surprise myself sometimes. Like cuz I'm only able to find what's on the internet or what's available or what a certain vintage store may have. So if they don't have it, or if it's not in existence, then what am I to do? But luckily they were there. So
It's just luck, determination, drive, and what's
yes.
meant to be. What's meant to be. You've mentioned that these people like Nicki Minaj, JT, are really passionate, really driven, really do what they're intending to do. You're drawn to that personality type. And you said earlier that you had all of these files sitting there and you weren't ready to post it because it wasn't the right time. Would you consider yourself a perfectionist by any chance?
Yes, definitely. I'm told all the time that I'm like way too hard on myself, and it's something that I've worked on a lot and I'm trying to be better about. But it's give and take, because I can say that I'm hard on myself, but again, like the way that I am has gotten me the results that I've gotten. So it's a push and pull, but I just have to find the right balance, basically.
Because it really comes through, even just the way your socials are curated. It really does look like a magazine. Like I feel like you could just print out the whole thing and it would look like, I can see it's very well considered the way you do things. I also want to talk a bit about your creative direction and styling work, because I actually miss it sometimes because when I'm looking through your feed, it's so well done that it almost looks like one of your scans.
Yeah.
There was one that I really, really liked that you did. Aleali May. That whole shoot, I want you to explain it because I don't want to sit here telling the references. I want to hear it from the source, but so accurate, so like, you tell me about that shoot.
Yeah, I love Aleali. She is like one of the realest people I've come across. And no surprise, we have the same birthday. I'm into astrology, so I was like, this makes perfect sense. But that shoot, I would just be on eBay like scrounging for vintage stuff, and I would send her stuff that I would think would look good on her. And then I came across these Alexander McQueen capris, or pants culottes, and I was like, I think these would look really good on you. And then suddenly I had this vision of this fader shoot that the Neptunes did, and they had like the Japanese waves in the background as a backdrop. So I was like, if we could pay homage to that while you're wearing the pants, put together an outfit, I think it would be really dope. And then we actually did it. So it was fire.
And even like the hair and makeup was just so perfect. The red lash, like whose idea was the red lash?
Hers.
It
She's
looks
very
so good.
creative.
Like it looked so good. When I go through your feed and I see that, I just thought, oh, this is like, wait, this was recent. This was you. You just get it so right. And I don't like to throw shade or be negative really on this series, but sometimes you see people try to reference this time and it comes out a little bit like corny. I just think the way you do it is so authentic, and I guess it's because you're so well referenced and so researched.
I will say, I think it has to do with what you had mentioned before. People are just trying to like rush everything and just put everything out now, now, now. And sometimes things take time. They take research and they take the appropriate resources to execute. So
Things are cycling around very quickly compared to maybe they used to, but you can always kind of tell when someone's referencing a recent interpretation of something else, or if they've actually gone far back enough to see where it came from. And I think that's like one advice I always give people in fashion is like be well referenced, like read a book, like watch a documentary. And I think that's why I followed you for so long. Like even when I reached out to you, I was thinking, wow, I've really been watching you post for a long time. Like you haven't stopped, you're still dedicated and you're still doing it, which I think is really commendable.
yeah, I think it's gonna be close to 10 years soon, or maybe uh yeah, 10 years, maybe soon. I haven't been keeping track, but yeah, I've been doing this for a while. It wasn't in my plans to do this, but I've grown a love for it. Like, I don't know. Like I'm just like a perfectionist, and it's something that satisfies my, let's call it OCD, I guess.
You had a big, it might not have been on Twitter actually, you can tell me. I believe it was, but you had a big moment with the Excuse Me Miss video where you kind of cracked a fashion myth. I would like to hear that story.
So basically, for years, it had been like general, let's call it, I guess, misinformation that the dress was by Paco Rabanne. The dress I'm referring to, if you don't know, Jay-Z's Excuse Me Miss video, the lead model, she has on like this dress. You'll know the dress when you see the dress. It had been rumored that it was Paco Rabanne, but it was irritating me for so long because I couldn't find it on the runway. Like that's something that would be on the runway. So I literally went through all of my resources, like one by one through each show of spring 2003, possibly looking at fall 2003 and then fall 2002, just in case I missed something. And then I eventually found it. It's by this Argentinian fashion group or duo. I don't think they're working together anymore, but they were really popular in the early 2000s. Trosman Cherba, spring 2003.
How long did it take you to go through all those shows?
Hours. But when I found it, I was like, okay, because this makes sense now. Because for years they were saying it was Paco Rabanne. So
I'm just imagining you like you can't sleep, you can't eat, you're just like laying in bed with this dress in your head. Rest until you find the dress. But
yes, I was like, let me just dedicate like an hour or two to figuring this out because I need to make sense of it.
Was that one of the moments that kind of blew up your account, or were you already popping before that?
It was one of them, definitely.
Because you've had a few moments that where I'll like see something, I'm like, oh, this was from Nygel Sartorial, 1 million, 2 billion notifications. Which outfits can you remember that you've shared, or which images that have just sent the internet into a frenzy? Are there any of your favorites that sort of like you were the one to put it online?
Recently, I had been sitting on this for a couple of months and then I posted it because I like to sequence my stuff correctly. Like I don't want to post too many of one magazine in one sitting, or because I like to fixate on things. So if I'm into Trace magazine, I want to post Trace magazine. But then I stopped myself when I realized, hey, my feed is too fixated on one thing. So I try to keep it as diverse as possible. There's this picture of a mill from Interview magazine. And I didn't like, I kind of have subconscious expectations of things that I post. And I'm like, oh, like they may like this, they may not. But if I like it, that's kind of all that matters. So I posted this thinking that it would do okay, but I believe it's probably maybe my most liked picture. You can't even really see what she's wearing, but like it's a stunning picture. She was signed to Rockefeller. She took a picture, I believe it was her or her boyfriend's Escalade. And you have to see the picture to understand what I'm saying, but like the picture is stunning. I love the picture. You can't even see what she's wearing, but like her face is she has a very striking face. So yeah, pretty much.
It's interesting to see from your side, like what you think is going to do well, what does well. I just see it as like you're just sitting on this like stash, like what do they deserve today? When did this cross over from like a passion project to something you could see as an actual job and you're actually working?
Around the pandemic, definitely. I started like delving into my page more because I had more downtime during that time. And then I started receiving certain emails and calls, and things kind of just picked up from there, definitely, because I had more time to engage on my accounts, which like picked up the traction.
So many people that I speak to really like had their moment where they refocused and their careers kind of took a turn in the pandemic. I mean, it was a horrific time, but it just produced some gems, I feel like. Can we expect any more creative directional work from you coming out this year? Because I hope we can.
I can't speak too much, but yes.
That one word makes me happy. I just think the world needs more of it. I think you're so talented. So that excites me. And I'm going to be on the edge of my seat waiting.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
If you could put one star of today in a look from the past, what would it be? And then the reverse, like somebody from the past that you would put with a designer or a look of now.
That's a great question. I would probably Zendaya in this dress from YSL Fall 2004. Celine Dion, I believe, wore this dress to the 2004 2000, I think the 2004 World Music Awards. It's like sequined, it's sleeveless, and it has like an Asian, maybe it's like a cherry blossom or something, and it's black. It's fire. You have to see it. But it has like the cheongsam collar. I love that aesthetic. Like that Asian aesthetic that Tom Ford and Roberto Cavalli would do. Definitely, I would definitely see her in something like that.
And could you put anyone from the past in something current?
Thinking Diana Ross, but I'm just not sure what I would put her in. Something from Christopher John Rogers.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Because I'm a huge Diana Ross fan and I'm a huge Christopher John Rogers fan. That would be like the crossover of the century. And Tracy wears the mother. Can you imagine a campaign like mother-daughter? They should do that.
Exactly. It makes so much sense.
Creative director. I love Diana Ross and Christopher John Rogers. That is amazing. Also, even with the Zendaya one, I feel like that was you'd be able to get the dress because doesn't Law also start Celine Dion? So I'm sure she still has it.
Exactly.
I'm sure that could get hooked up very easily. Is there anything else that you want to mention, like just work-wise, that you want people to know about what you do? Do you like to remain mysterious?
Let's talk about that. So I've realized that, I don't know, I guess I naturally, let's say, keep a mystique. Like I'm not someone that likes to be in the front, but I'm realizing like I have to kind of start to put myself out there. So definitely you will be seeing more of me.
Oh, I love to hear that. It's always good to put a face to some work that you love. And I feel like when things get a little bit more personal, beautiful things happen. Whenever people do it, it always goes way better than they imagine. So I'm sure
Exactly.
it's a great reception and people will want to learn more about you and the minds behind all of these amazing things that they've looked at for all these years.
Definitely you'll be seeing more of me. So stay tuned.
Okay, in any capacity, or you want to keep it a secret?
Let's keep it a secret.
Okay. That's your big sign, anyone watching, to make sure you're following every single Nygel Sartorial page so you don't miss what is cooking, because
exactly.
I know it's going to be good. I know from that curative perfectionist mind that it's not going to be anything short of 10 out of 10. So I can't wait.
Thank you. I appreciate your support. Like you said, you were following me for years, and it hasn't hit me like I get recognized when I introduce myself sometimes in certain spaces, and it really hasn't hit me the impact that this page has had. So I don't know when it will, but yeah.
I definitely found you. I think it was because you post so much Trace magazine, and I used to like collect Trace magazines. So I was like, this is my account. We've got all the amazing editorials, the Black Girls Rule. Like I could talk about Trace for hours and hours and hours. But not many people really know about it anymore. So I think it's really good that you still post that. I think I did one video about it that got quite a good reception as well. And I was like, okay, like there are people like, I've been waiting for you to talk about this magazine. Like I think they still have a really big following. I wish they would come back, but I just don't see it ever happening.
Yeah, I hope so too. I kind of just feel like I almost feel like a duty at this point to continue doing what I'm doing because it's preserving Black fashion and Black fashion history. No one else, like I know there are other archivists, but I'm saying no one from like the levels of the publishers are seem to find it a priority to keep these archives and make them publicly available. So I feel like it's a duty at this point and it's like an obligation and it just yeah, but it's a beautiful thing. I love Trace.
I'm happy that you see it that way. Not that it's like your sole responsibility to do this, but it is such like a golden era of like Black glamour that does. It's almost like it's too recent for people to like take it so seriously in the sense of archiving and preserving, like you're saying. So we don't want to wait 70 years for people to realize how relevant and important and influential that time period was. So it is actually very important work that you're doing.
Exactly.
I'm like an ideas person, so I'm sitting here like, Nygel Sartorial is the editor-in-chief of the new version of Trace, the Nygel Sartorial Public Library. I'm like seeing the whole thing, but I say all that to say I'm a huge fan, and thank you for your service to fashion, and thank you for sitting down with me today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.